Sword of Coming Episode 6. In the previous episode, tensions escalated in Clay Vase Alley as the proud celestial maiden Kai Jinjin stepped into filth and unleashed her fury on Chen Ping'an. Despite losing her powers, she nearly struck him down, only to twist the moment into her own strange enlightenment. Meanwhile, Fu Nanhua sensed hidden danger, and Song Jixin revealed his cold ambition, quietly pushing Chen Ping'an toward disaster. But far away, an eerie old man, calling himself the True Lord, completed a secret scheme, plotting to end Chen Ping'an's life without leaving a trace, all to shape Ji Yukan into his chosen successor. At the end of the previous episode, fate tightened its grip as different forces, proud immortals, hidden masters, and ambitious youths, each marked Chen Ping'an as a stepping stone for their own designs. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. A scholar with graying sideburns and an azure-robed young boy left the private school before arriving at the foot of the archway. Mr. Qi was looking a little weary as he pointed up at a plaque above his head. Doing my part. What does that mean? The boy, Zhao Yao, who was both a student at the private school and Mr. Qi's scholarly attendant, looked up at the plaque with calm composure. Without hesitation, he explained, according to the teachings of Confucius, scholars like ourselves must respect our teachers and uphold a strict code of morals and ethics. But when it comes to pursuing the truth and what is right, we should remain firm and resolute in our beliefs, even if it means going against our teachers. By living according to these principles, we are doing our part. Mr. Qi, intrigued, asked, what impact will it have if we say, we must, instead of, we should? Zhao Yao considered the question carefully. Unlike Song Jixin, whose personality was sharp and inflexible, Zhao Yao's disposition was gentle and restrained. Like a hibiscus just beginning to bloom, he understood the subtlety in his teacher's question and felt the need to respond with caution. Amused by the boy's solemnity, Mr. Qi patted him on the shoulder. Do not be so nervous. That question was merely asked on a whim. Perhaps I have been overly strict, suppressing your imagination and natural personality, making you rigid like a statue in a Wunchong pavilion. Overly obsessed with rules. It is exhausting. Yes, but in this case, it seems to have been beneficial. Before Zhao Yao could respond, Mr. Qi led him to another side of the archway. Gazing at a second plaque, Mr. Qi, usually stern, appeared more relaxed today and began sharing many captivating stories. He explained that the inscription, "Doing my part," was created by the greatest calligrapher of his era, who sparked intense debates about structure versus freedom in calligraphy, and the merits of past versus contemporary works. The four essential elements of calligraphy, Mr. Qi noted, were spirit, method, meaning, and form. He went on to describe the idiom, comply with the natural order, revealing that although the characters appeared stylistically similar, they were each created by a different Taoist master. The masters had argued over which character was the most profound, refusing the simpler ones. Next, Mr. Qi directed Zhao Yao to the plaque reading, refrain from looking outward. His expression solemn, he revealed that the private school would soon be without a teacher and might either be closed by the wealthy families who funded it or replaced by a Taoist temple or Buddha statue. A priest or monk might oversee it for decades, with occasional replacements to maintain appearances. Even the smallest display of mystical power here would be extraordinary, capable of shaking the heavens. Mr. Qi's voice softened, tinged with weariness. Many secrets could not be revealed before, but they are becoming insignificant. As scholars, we cannot break our word easily. To break pre-established rules would tarnish what I am meant to preserve. And that is abhorrent. Zhao Yao, emboldened, said, Sir, I know you are not ordinary. And this town is not ordinary either. Mr. Qi raised an intrigued eyebrow. Zhao Yao gestured toward the archway and listed unusual elements in the town: the iron lock well, the covered bridge, the old locust tree, the peach trees on Peach Leaf Alley, and the yearly Guyu and Chongyang tags on Fortune Street. How are these strange? Mr. Qi asked. You have never left the town. How would you know? Zhao Yao responded solemnly, explaining that even the peach blossoms differed from those in poetry and questioning why only the 3 foundational books had been taught. He pondered the purpose of reading beyond those texts and the significance of the imperial examination. Noting how officials never spoke of the emperor, the capital, or the outside world, Mr. Qi smiled and halted him, emphasizing the importance of prudence. A loose tongue brings endless trouble. Virtuous figures of Confucianism are tight-lipped. The sages above them, such as mountain masters or enlightened saints, are like terrestrial gods, halfway to divinity, beyond reach. Zhao Yao asked why he was being told all this. Mr. Qi explained that some forces behind the scenes were unwilling to wait, meaning Zhao Yao would have to leave the town alone. Keep in mind, he said, no matter how high you ascend, someone will always be above you. Never become complacent. Shi Jingchun then referenced the locust leaf he had instructed Zhao Yao to keep, suggesting it might present a fated opportunity. He reminded him to do good deeds and accumulate karma, noting that small actions accumulate over time, leading to rewards of surprising magnitude. An oriole perched atop the archway caught Zhao Yao's attention, and Shi Jingchun's gaze shifted to Clay Vase Alley with concern. Sensing some hidden threat, he reassured Zhao Yao it was not their concern, guiding him toward the final plaque. Suddenly, Zhao Yao froze, dazed, as he spotted a young woman dressed in black, wearing a veiled hat that concealed her face. She carried a longsword and a saber, standing beneath the plaque that read, "Unmatched Aura." Her arms were crossed, and she seemed captivated by the free-flowing script, contrasting with the formal inscriptions of the other plaques. Shi Jingchun allowed Zhao Yao to stare, amused, before gently reminding him to return to the school. Embarrassed, Zhao Yao complied. Shi Jingchun then warned him, "Keep your distance from her. She is incredibly sharp, destined to be a sheathless sword." Zhao Yao, confused and dejected, quietly accepted the advice. The young woman moved suddenly, her blades flashing with incredible speed. Shi Jingchun made a casual stomp, and her attack failed. Her form returned to the original position as if halted by an invisible force. Even without mystical techniques, her skill and speed were extraordinary. Yet Shi Jingchun's mastery proved superior. She continued attacking, creating small rifts in the ground. Shi Jingchun, remaining calm, restrained his power, questioning who had taught her techniques. Despite his restrained cultivation, he demonstrated skill and composure far beyond her abilities. Eventually, her hands bled, and she was disarmed. Yet Shi Jingchun offered advice rather than punishment. He explained that patience and tenacity were essential in martial arts. He then infused the longsword with 2 balls of light from the plaque, temporarily enhancing it, but the young woman refused to accept it, declaring her own path was different. Shi Jingchun felt a rare sense of heaviness at her rejection but could not force her to take the sword, only cautioning her about the coming turmoil. After escorting Zhao Yao home, Shi Jingchun returned to the school and contemplated a jade tablet and a secret letter, reflecting on his failures and the years spent clinging to life in service to his teacher. His sorrow was quiet, contemplative, yet tinged with resignation. Meanwhile, Song Jixin examined a mundane-looking teapot with hidden value, calculating its worth in a way that revealed both humor and cunning. On Apricot Blossom Alley, a cautious man inspected the iron lock well, intent on some covert action. The young woman, wandering the town with her saber strapped to her waist, encountered her longsword flying after her. Frustrated, she spat through gritted teeth. "Piss off." The sword obediently returned to its scabbard, presenting a curious and unusual pairing between the proud young woman and her loyal flying weapon. The longsword had flown all the way here after emerging from its scabbard, and it was so frightened that it really did fly back into the scabbard again. The prideful young woman and the obedient flying sword presented a rather odd pair. The young woman in black made her way deeper into the alley, occasionally coming across houses with large festive red lanterns hanging outside. She moved alone, without the backing of any powerful clan, sect, or companions, relying entirely on her own skill and judgment to navigate this unfamiliar town. Her steps were deliberate and cautious, and although her veiled hat hid her face, her posture and the saber strapped to her waist spoke volumes about her martial capabilities and the confidence she carried within. Further along the alley, A young man dressed in brocade robes stood, holding a green jade seal in both hands. The seal was about the size of a child's palm, intricately engraved with coiling dragons and crouching tigers. Sunlight glinted off its surface, revealing faint traces of internal radiance that seemed to pulse gently within. He inspected the jade seal intently, his eyes narrowed in deep fascination. Beside him knelt a tall and broad old man, carefully wiping the dirt from his boots with his sleeve, his movements precise and measured. From the corner of his eye, the brocade-robed young man noticed the woman approaching. Judging by her hat, her weapon, and her confident strides, it was immediately clear she was not a local. Yet he paid her no mind, his focus entirely consumed by the jade seal. In truth, a small part of him hoped she might take an interest in the treasure. Perhaps even try to take it. The monotony of their visit thus far made the prospect of an unexpected confrontation tantalizing, adding excitement to an otherwise uneventful excursion. The town had strict rules for visitors like them. Each person had been given 3 tokens inside embroidered pouches. 1 token was required as a toll for the gatekeeper, granting entry into the town, a rule that applied even to emperors or founders of sects. The other 2 pouches indicated that only 2 treasures could be taken out of the town, regardless of whether one collected 10 or even 100 items. These tokens were special copper coins, indistinguishable to the untrained eye but actually minted from gold essence, a rare and precious material. Ordinary residents rarely saw silver, let alone gold, making these tokens extraordinarily valuable. The brocade-robed boy had studied them along the way but had found nothing particularly remarkable about their composition. The young woman continued straight down the alley, ignoring both the brocade-robed boy and his elderly servant. Suddenly, the boy decided to stow the jade seal into a cloth pouch he had brought, tying it securely to his waist. He then stood in the middle of the alley, showing no intention of moving aside. The old man, recognizing the potential danger, spoke in a high-pitched, urgent voice. He warned the young boy of the young woman's skill, emphasizing that in the unique environment of the town, even the strongest martial practitioners could find their abilities severely restricted. He explained that pushing his own martial power to its limit could result in catastrophic consequences. Not for himself, but for failing in his duty to protect the boy, which would be unforgivable. The young boy, however, was visibly irritated by the constant warnings. He teased the old man, noting how verbose he had become since leaving the palace. In the palace, he had said the same things repeatedly, offering less variation than even the parrot kept by the boy's sister. The old man, a loyal eunuch, remained deferential and continued to explain directly that the woman posed a potential threat to the boy. The boy dismissed the concern with a wave of his hand, reasoning that the young woman would not attack him solely because she noticed his treasure. He reflected on the countless factions and forces in the world, acknowledging that such a chance encounter was unlikely to lead to outright violence. Sighing in mild disillusionment, he decided it was unworthy of a man like him to pick on a lone girl, and he resolved to let her pass. As the woman approached, her left hand rested on the hilt of her saber. The brocade-robed boy stepped aside with a faint smile, granting her free passage, though her eyes, visible beneath the veil, remained sharp and alert. The old man noticed the bandages covering her hands, soaked in blood, and fury flashed across his face. Suddenly, the old man sprang into action, pressing the boy gently against the alley wall while intercepting a rock hurled at the boy's head. The rock, thrown with deadly force, would have caused serious harm if not for the old man's quick reflexes. He crushed the rock in his palm, then retaliated, throwing a powerful punch toward the young woman. She suppressed the instinct to draw her weapon, evading the strike with exceptional grace. The punch generated a violent gust, tossing the veil on her hat and partially revealing her face. The old man followed up seamlessly with a horizontal sweep of his fist, forcing her to cross her arms in defense. The impact sent her sliding over 10 meters, yet she recovered gracefully, adjusting her hat and noting the further blood soaking her bandages. She spoke with controlled anger, claiming responsibility for neutralizing the old man's threat if necessary. The old man, experienced in assassination attempts, assessed her as a secondary threat. recognizing that the true danger came from the masked man across the alley who had thrown the rock. The masked figure, tall and thin with bulging arm muscles, remained still, exuding a menacing presence. 2 pouches hung from his waist, filled with round objects, likely tools of combat. His cold gaze fell on the young woman, and a lecherous smirk spread across his face. The young woman's eyes narrowed, and she shouted, "Return!" Instantly, a sword flew to her side, slicing through the masked assassin and continuing to revolve around her like a protective child seeking attention. She snapped a sharp command, and the sword vanished, leaving the brocade-robed boy and the old man dumbfounded. The old man's shock was not at the flying sword itself, but at the ease with which the young woman controlled it. It reminded him of his youth, when he had first entered the palace and had once been terrified of a figure in a red python robe, whose presence had evoked awe and fear in equal measure. The brocade-robed boy approached the old man, asking with concern if he was unharmed. The old man reassured him grimly that he was fine but stressed the need for caution. He intended to hold off the young woman if necessary, while the boy dealt with the situation. The boy, however, interrupted, suggesting that they offer an apology instead of escalating the conflict. The old man was shocked, struggling to reconcile the idea of apologizing for what could have been a life-threatening encounter. In the imperial palace, loyalty and protection of one's master took precedence over all else, and the thought of compromise seemed foreign. The brocade-robed boy, confident and composed, insisted that offering an apology was simple and appropriate. He began to step forward toward the young woman, dismissing the old man's protests. In that instant, a surge of emotions, concern, apprehension, respect, and disbelief, flooded the old man's heart, leaving him torn between duty and the unexpected humility of his young master. The old man was still very much against the idea, but the brocade-robed boy was already approaching the young woman. In that instant, a myriad of emotions surged through the old man's heart. In this episode, we saw Chen Ping'an navigate the crowded and dangerous alleys of the town, encountering both hidden threats and unexpected allies. The young woman in black made her way confidently through the streets, demonstrating remarkable skill and control over her weapon, while Chen Ping'an and his loyal servant, Grandpa Wu, faced challenges from masked attackers and assassination attempts. We witnessed the tension between caution and boldness, as Chen Ping'an chose to approach the situation with surprising humility, offering an apology instead of escalating conflict. At the same time, the young woman's extraordinary abilities became clear, leaving a strong impression on both Chen Ping'an and Grandpa Wu, and setting the stage for future confrontations. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Sword of Coming. If you enjoyed this episode or found it exciting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications about the latest episodes following Chen Ping'an's journey. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.